Come on in, everyone. We are here today again. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So many things to talk about, so many things to discuss. Let us all have it. Let us all have it. We are live once again on Track and Feelings. Let us talk about what happened in day number two, the evening session, and what we just saw happen in day number three, the morning session. Gary, may know you're going to be very early. Gary, you're very early. Welcome, Gary. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We all know the rules. As you come along, you just like when you are making your comment, you share your name so we can see who it is. Sheldon present very much. Bright and early. I like this register. Register marking is taken. Come on in, people. Say hi. Share the live. We are here to discuss a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. We want to hear from you. Likewise, we know you want to hear from us. And we definitely will be starting from what we saw
Taking the
happen
view.
last night, and also what we just saw today, because what happened last night is as a result of things that happened today. So let us get on in and let us start sharing and talking. Definitely today, once again, we have our admins. Yeah, that is Keto Ray and also Jermaine. Please also note, let me just inform you that we actually also have a YouTube page, we have a Instagram page, and we also have a Twitter page. You can find us on all social media handles at Track and Feelings. Feel free to drop by on all of them and like, share, also subscribe to our YouTube page, because definitely we will be start going live there also in conjunction with live being here. We want to expand what it is that we're doing so that others can be able to share in and feel welcome at home. Welcome, everyone. We are here. We are growing in numbers. Thank you all for sharing the group. Thank you all for telling others about the group. Thank you all for inviting persons to the group. And thank you all for being so active on the page. We here at Track and Feelings appreciate it. We appreciate you so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Kina, where do we start?
Me not really watch nothing, so me don't know if it start. Me must say me out of it.
No,
Me just
let us
jump
start.
on.
No, we want to start at. We want to
I
start.
wanna fi tell me what
We
go
want to
on.
start. We want to start at last night. What's
Okay.
your view take on last night? Let us start at last night and come over into this morning.
Um, last
Talk,
night thought want to start with the 100-meter
oh,
final.
right, let's start. Talk to me. Talk to me about the semifinals. Let's start at the semifinals quickly and move into the 100-meter finals.
I mean, the semifinals really saw all the main persons going through that we thought would have gone through, except for DeGrasse. Um, it just went to form. It really went to form, which is why I didn't want to call it per se, because I figured that it would have gone to form. Um, Let me just say that I'm not. I would have wanted Oblique Civilian to medal, and there are those of us who thought that he could actually win, but it was not unforeseeable that the three Americans would have swept it. Really didn't want that, but we really wanted Oblique to at least get a medal. And based on what we saw in the semifinals, we also, some of us, well, I was coerced into saying that, you know, he could possibly take it. But really and truly, I did believe that as well. He showed good form. What I will say though is that when we look at the graph that they show, or the graphics, it shows that Oblique got a very bad start. One, his reaction was very slow, and he hit his top speed faster than everybody else, but he also decelerated faster than everybody else. And just to put that in layman's term, it means that he start he started worse than probably most in the pack. Got to top speed mid race, and then started decelerating whilst there were other people coming at him right towards the end. So I think when he goes back into training with Glenn Mills, they will have to look back at that because he spoke about it in the interview, in the post race interview as well, that it's something that they will look at and perhaps some more strength training. Perhaps it was just nerves. I don't know what it was, but I don't think it's anything that can't be corrected. I will dare say that you know give if we give Oblique a year or two, he's gonna be unbeatable.
Okay. Um,
For me,
Go ahead. Go
for
ahead,
me
Jermaine.
personally, there are two things I take from that. Nothing beats experience but experience. That's number one. And what happened with Oblique was what happened to almost every rookie. Inexperience kicked in. I think what I think happened was he started to think beyond. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to be confident, but I believe he thought that he could really win it, which we all did. And because of that, what happened was that, and this is where I have a little bit of a blame to give to Glenn Mills, where I say this is why I believe he should have run at least one race with one of the big guns, because what happened to him is because of inexperience. You know, like I said to you guys yesterday, the better starters were on his outside. And when he got up, Trayvon Bramwell was ahead of him. And that alone just threw off everything that was, and not just ahead of him, but way ahead of him. And that threw off his entire race strategy. But I am not disappointed because you saw the fight back. You saw where you said, you know what, I'm going. But because of that, it allowed him also to decelerate a lot quicker because he expended too much energy to make up for the lost ground. And it's just inexperience. I believe come Paris, he's probably going to be the favorite. I think if he builds a little bit more muscle mass on his body because his frame is still very thin, he'll be one of those guys that will literally be the world number one for like 3, 4 years without a challenge. Um, so I'm looking at him and I'm proud of it. I did have Bramwell and Curly to medal. I did say Oblique was going to get silver between the two of them. Bramwell got bronze and Curly got gold. But Marvin Bracey with the upset. And I think what happened, the difference between him and say Marvin Bracey was Bracey got out. Bracey got out, and that was enough confidence that he needed, and that's what propelled him to that silver medal because he got caught by Brumman, he got caught by Fred Curley. Obviously, I'm got passed by Curley, but there's also another element that we must admit. It may be because of the quality of the racers, but that track isn't as fast as we all think it is. It doesn't look as
Jer-
fast as we think it is.
All right. So you guys started right at the finals. I I will start at you and Blake.
Jermaine,
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tino,
I will start
Tino, in
at
the name
you
of
and
Jesus, may I come from church? You see me still in my church clothes? Don't
eat
don't
your
I'm
don't,
going
don't
to
heart
upset
out,
my
start.
boy.
spirit.
Eat
I'm
your
going to
heart out,
start
bro.
at Johan Blake. Reason being, some of us had thought space and expectation of him being in the finals. One thing I will say is that for me, his race was not put together as well as the race that he did at our Jamaican trials, and also his heat race compared to the race that he did in the heat. His semifinals wasn't put together for me. Um,
Shigan,
am I am I disappointed in him not being able to be in the finals? At one point I was, but then after rethinking rethinking it, I thought to myself, I mean, this is someone still coming back. This is someone this is someone who is trying. What I will say though is that his coaches need to sit down and re-examine all his races that he did leading up to that semi-final race and see what went wrong, what it is that they need to do better, what it is that needs to be worked on for him, because there is great room for improvement if it is that Johan is going to continue running after this year,
Sorry, not
right?
to cut you, but that is average. That is his average time for the last 10 years. So I don't think he's going any further. When you look at the stats, that's his average time.
I mean, his
That's I
time.
think
True.
I think that's where his body is.
That's why I
Yeah,
said
And I
that
mean,
was my.
yeah, we got a one good race, and I think we got excited. But his average time is that time that he run in the semis, and that not getting cut any dash right now.
that is
I'm
true.
I'm 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 one of
That
my
is,
problems with what I saw from Johan is, and I said it yesterday evening. I believe Johan got in his own head, and what I mean by that is overconfident Johan is the worst thing to have. When he's overconfident, he tends to make the mistakes and the errors that he does, and because of that, it kind of makes it a little bit. He loses his form. He loses everything. When he went back to the Johan of the past couple of years that was talking all the smack and then couldn't deliver, all he had to do was just be himself, maintain his composure, and he should have gotten a top two, top three finish in that heat because he was the ninth fastest person, believe it or not. So a better race would have gotten him in the finals. So even 2/10 of a second or 200th of a second got him in the would have gotten him in the finals. And for me, I am, and this is where I'm scared now because now it means he's going to run the 200, and I think his best shot at a medal is that 4x1 because I do believe even though the US had 4 men in the finals, I do believe we can upset the apple cart in that 4x1.
It's confirmed
But
that he's running the 200.
no,
not
I'm not
at
saying it's confirmed. He was down for on the 200, but what the word on the street was if he did well in the 100, he would walk away.
not the word on the street. Greg Willits said it out of his own mouth that they were waiting to see what happened in the 100 to make the decision if it is that he would run the 200. That came from directly from his coach's decks. Odian, we are recapping the 100 meters. What happened last
Hmm.
night? We were looking from the um. They started at the finals. I just started at Johan. I don't know if you have anything to say as it relates to Johan, and then I can just give my synopsis for the finals, and then you can go.
All right. So good afternoon, Latoya. Good afternoon, Kina. Good afternoon, Jermaine, and good afternoon to the wonderful viewers of Track and Feelings. Yes. Recapping the 100 meters, starting from the
Odian look
semifinal
like a
from.
yeah blind, saying as Xavier on the pan line. So Z,
Oh,
what
I did not.
continue?
good
Just
good
kidding.
afternoon, Xavier. Yeah.
Odian,
Afternoon, afternoon.
before you start, Odian, I'm gonna go, guys. Just wanted to jump on to say hi. As you can see, I'm at the beach. I'll join you a little bit later. And
All right. You
on
just a show
Stay up
off,
on the road. Stay
and
up on the road, no, brother.
that's
Just
why
stay up on the
you
road.
come on here show
no,
off.
I'm
So
Just
I'm
stay up
jump
on the
off,
road,
jump
brother.
off,
I'm
jump
on
off,
that.
jump off.
I'm on daddy duties today. Today is my
Leave,
daughter's
Kino.
birthday,
Leave.
so
Leave.
blessings. Latoya,
All
later
right,
on
sir.
talk to you.
Later, dearest.
Mhm.
Yes, continue,
Yes.
Odian.
Yes, Latoya. So I
That
started
time
for me.
I can't see audience still now. That's some blind. Oh,
What?
so
Are
yeah,
you
we
not
chopping our
seeing
corner.
me? Yes. Yes.
I don't
Always.
have to up in a one
No, because
corner.
you know.
Yeah. All right. Are you guys
Welcome,
able to see me
Tawanda.
now?
Welcome, dearest.
Are you guys able to see me now?
Yeah, I am able to see. I don't have a problem
No,
seeing you,
man, I'm
Odian.
seeing you. I'm seeing you.
Go on here.
Okay. All right. So I'm starting at the semifinals. For me, the most disappointing part of it for me was the fact that Johan Blake literally had the easiest of the three semifinals. And if you have the weakest semifinal, to get into the final and you can't go through, it simply means that there's no other way you would have made the final, and you probably even don't deserve to have been in the finals. You know, I think Jermaine is right in terms of when Johan Blake is a little bit overconfident, he might not necessarily gets it right. And I think what we wanted to have seen from Johan Blake was a determined Blake, like he came at the national championship, want to prove us wrong, want to also separate himself from who he would probably call the boys. And I did not see that from Johan Blake last night. It was rather disappointing when you run 9.85. You even run faster than the winning time last night, and for you to not able to at least replicate that sort of form, it is horrible. I'm sorry. I can't make any excuse whatsoever for Johan Blake, whereas I could make one for Anakim Blake. And yeah, a civil coming forth, well done. So for me with Blake, just about that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. As it relates to the comment regarding Blake, I will just continue and move on with my comment. Akeem Blake for me did really well. I'm sure a lot of us, after seeing who he was paired with in that semifinals, realized that that semifinals was the killer of all semifinals out of all of them. So I still is proud of what it is that he had given unto us. Um, we expected for Oblique Seville to have won his semifinal, which he did. Um, One of the things that I had predicted and called from before, which the Olympic champion, I had said earlier on that the Olympic champion wouldn't have showed up to the heats. However, he did. But then he came back and proved me right that he wouldn't have showed up to the semifinals. For whatever reason, he didn't. I'm not sure what that reason is, but something is up with the Olympic champion. I'm not sure what
But
is happening.
Latoya, I dare to say this though. Jacobs is really injured and he decided to pull out of the championship. And what was telling last night in the men's 100 meters that had there been a fit Jacob, they would have had a difficult time beating a mental strong person like him.
Yeah, so that's where I
986
was
wouldn't
coming
have
at.
beat
That's where
Jacob.
I was coming
Yeah.
at. Thank you. That's where I was coming at, because for me, when he ran in the heats, he just looked weird or funny. He never looked comfortable in his heat in terms of I am here to run, and therefore I was like, okay, he's not gonna come to the semifinals. I agree with you that if he was fit enough and come to the semifinals and come to the finals would have may have turned out totally differently from the sweep that happened. Congratulations to the United States for sweeping that. We all thought that
Yeah.
may have been a sweep. It was a good execution in terms of them sweeping it in totality. The way they
Odian,
executed race individual.
Odian, I have a small question for you. When was the
Jeremy,
last time 9-8 won a finals? 986.
yeah,
We need to know that. Because it brings me to another point, but I just want to know. Right? Because there was all this hyperbole about the world record, right? And I remember when Fred Curley ran 979, I said to you guys that 979 was not as easy as it looked. He worked for it. And this is the second year in a row we've seen Fred Curley run a faster time either in the semifinal or in the heat than he does in the final. And it shows me that right now where men's sprinting is, like I said yesterday when we were live, I said we are so reminiscent of the glory days 10 years ago when you had 4 or 5 guys who were giving you 9.7, that we think 9.7 and 9.6 is something that you get up and walk in. 9.6 is uncharted territory for most athletes. Remember, there are only 3 men to legally run 9.6, and 2 of them went 9.69. You understand? So, I mean, this
for
hype,
me, for me,
I
let's
don't
just
get
say
it.
this. Jeremy, let me say this. People can say what they want to say about the time winning. At the end of the day, it is just that you are there to win. For me, this is my personal opinion. We need to stop be messing around over the times. Usain Bolt world record at this moment is not reachable. It requires
No, I'm
someone.
not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not bashing the
I
time. You
no
know,
no no
I
no.
am bashing the. I'm bashing the comments
Jeremy,
that were made
And
that
that's
were
where I'm
made
coming.
regarding
That's where
that.
I'm coming at. And that's where I'm coming at. Persons need to be understanding of it. People need to stop seeing someone run one race and say, "Oh, this person is going to break the world record instantly because of one race." You get what I'm saying, Julian? Let me see Fred Curly run one race. Oh, Fred Curly is the next Usain Bolt. Although there is the next Usain Bolt. We
Yeah.
might realize we have too much the next Usain Bolt. And it's not like they're saying the next Usain Bolt because of how the person run, but because of the time that they saw the person run. And it is not materializing. So people need to
Mm-hmm.
I believe that us who have the voice and the understanding of track and field, the science of track and field, and the correct concept of it and the correct concept of times need to stop entertaining people with those things. Leave them over there, so right, Orion? Leave them over there, so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you know,
Straightforward.
one of the reasons why I find it funny
Mm-hmm.
was because Usain Bolt retweeted something. That's why I brought it up now. I saw a retweet by Usain Bolt because everybody
Mm-hmm.
was. I'm not going to call their name because I don't want to get into any trouble. But another podcast, one of the commentators said
Malaya big,
Usain Bolt,
Malaya big.
Oh, you're
right?
liar big from hey, if Orion liar big, man liar big, so
All
But we
right,
all entitled to track and feelings.
right. So I was watching Flow Tracker or whatever the name, and one of the commentators said Usain Bolt's world record is on borrowed time.
no,
I
the
laughed,
same thing, that sing him, sing it, and all of that. I'm clean and posted, and that is the reason why I'm
right?
saying
And
we
I'm
who
saying,
understand the
what has
sport.
any of these what what has any of these guys done to make us go 958 is possible? Because the fastest man
Mm-hmm.
running right now has a PB of 9.7, what, 6 or 5, and he's not even in the shape 974, and that's what was it? That's Coleman, and he's not even in that shape. Yeah, we're acting like 958 is something you wake up in the morning. Usain Bolt is a freak of nature and literally had to have the perfect race to run 958. He literally had the perfect race. Odion, you know this as a fact. If this was if you were breaking records, Usain would have broken every single record from 10 meters to 100 meters. He ran the fastest 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 100. He had and he's a freak of nature. We need to stop making people, because people run time. Now, people might say, how dare I say this, but the women are there. But guess what? One woman is 500th of a second outside of the world record that we thought was impossible. Another one is 1/10 of a second outside of it. None of these guys are anywhere close to 9.58. And it is for
Mm-hmm.
me, it is becoming a sour point in track and field, because guess what's happening now? Many people are no longer enjoying track and field because of the sport. They keep wanting that record to go down. And I'm going to say this, that record is going to be like Flojo. 30 years down the line, we're still going to be seeing 958.
Jermaine, can I say to you that you are one of those persons that allow persons to entertain the concept that the record is going to go? When it is that you become like this, when I hear people say it, I just make it just come on my forehead and just run off like a water run off of my face and my sweat. Because I know it is not something that is going to go now. And that is why I agree with Michael Johnson about saying we need to get the understanding and the right factor. We need to get it. We need to do the matchups and let us stop worrying about the time. Do the matchups. It's not about times. If the time is to come, it will come. Just run and the time come and you take it and you get it. The more
Mm-hmm.
you put the pressure or the more pressure goes on an athlete to break the time, it don't happen. The athlete becomes
True.
so tight, the athlete becomes so the athlete becomes so stiff, the athlete becomes antisocial, everything because all of that pressure that we are putting on, that they are putting on the athlete becomes a problem to the athlete's shoulder. The athlete walk around with a chip on the shoulder. But the moment we just allow the athlete to be the athlete, relax and do what they want to do, the time will
That
come.
that's true, Latoya. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. We need to also focus on the head to heads of this thing as well, and not just about times. You know.
Exactly.
So
Allow
I
them to
agree.
run with a medal. Allow them to run for a medal, because that's what it's for. At the end of the day, we over here put pressure upon the people. All them business with them just want one medal dash on their neck. You see, you just a
Why
dash
did
it.
you think? Why did you think last
It's
night?
not about medal alone, it's money too.
All money to
Exactly.
exactly, Xavier.
Why did you think last night? For me, I think the standout performer, not a matter about the time, the result in terms of the placing, would have to go to Marvin Bracy. He was like the weakest of the Americans on all of our
Yep.
lists.
Yep.
Nobody thought he would have been the second place American. So I think kudos need to go to him. And also,
Exactly.
if I'm to give credit to Trevor Brummel, I wouldn't, because still he still is yet to better his 2015 joint bronze with DeGrasse. He still
Yes.
still see him as a choker. Still should have been better than that bronze if Seville was still out of the medals. For me,
Exactly.
Brummel still didn't perform.
I
Exactly.
I I I I have Bromwell as a sore point for track and field for me, and I say this why. He is becoming the US version of Asafa Powell,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that for me is a sore point because his talent, granted, we know he's coming back from a very severe injury and whatever, but his talent is so good that, like you said, Oblique Civil was not the man. Marvin Brace is the weakest of the Americans.
Mhm.
Why on God's earth is a medal other than bronze eluding Trayvon Bromell?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give this statement from Facts first to you to
Mhm.
answer.
Okay.
Because I thought I just said something in the contents, but I'm gonna throw this one at you, Odian. The person says nonsense. Bolt ran 10:03 in 2007, 9:69 in 2008, and 9:58 in 2009. To say that nobody can break Bolt's record anytime soon, smack up a person that doesn't understand the sport.
Well, let me address this because I was one of the
That's why.
persons who
That's why
thought,
I said.
yeah, I was one of the persons who thought that the race could have been as fast as 970. I've said that. I thought a Curly could have gone 970. It didn't happen. I'm not going to say that it is impossible, but I don't see the record going
Right now.
anytime soon. When I say soon, I don't see it going in the next 2 years, 3 years from now. Technology improve and people work hard and all of that. You know, so I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I don't see anybody right now who's able to do it at this point in time.
Odion, let me break it down from a science point of view. I'm around too many people that study physics to not know this. There are factors to consider when you consider Bolt's world record. Number one is Bolt stride pattern. For when Bolt takes one stride, or when Bolt takes two strides, every other athlete is taking three or two and a half. He has
Mhm.
the longest stride pattern in track and field for a sprinter. Number two, his turnover of a man that is 6'5" is that of a man that is 5'9", which means if you watch races, his legs are hitting the ground the same time as guys like Tyson Gay, Asafa Powell, Johan Blake. They are hitting the ground at the same time. Now he has just as quick as a turnover as somebody who's shorter than him. He has a longer stride pattern. That's why he took 44 steps to the average person who takes 47 to 49 steps in a 100-meter. And in that 958, he ran the most perfect race ever. You combine all three concepts into it, you get that. For someone to break that, you have to have an equal stride pattern, an equal turnover, and have zero flaws in your race. Before Usain Bolt 958 and after Usain Bolt 958, we have yet to see one individual with that completion. That's why his mechanics is being studied by everybody across the world because he's a freak of nature. Now, when I say it's going to take a while for somebody to do that, it means what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to identify someone from the age of 12, 13 who is tall and we know is going to grow and train them to the point that Usain Bolt was so that they can get even close to that. That's why at one point the US brought in Ryan Bailey thinking Ryan Bailey could do it because he was also 6'5". So don't tell me that what we're talking is nonsense. What Usain Bolt did is beyond just the natural. It is a physics thing. And that is why his world record is in the position that it is. And that is why, like I said, only three men in history have run sub 9.7. Two of them have only run 969. And that's why Bolt never came close to that 958 other than in London when he ran 963, and even then he didn't have a perfect race. All right. So just to clarify that this is about science now.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So Usain Bolt wasn't in the race last night. So I think Odi, you want to say anything regarding the men finals,
Um,
or
All
you
right,
good?
what I saw last night, I was hoping for a better race from Oblique Seville, but unfortunately, I don't know if it was only me who identified that he had some, was it an hesitation at the start or a slip or something, but
Sleep at the
coming
start.
out of the blocks, yeah, there's something that was a little jittering at the start there for me, and I think that threw him off big time in terms of, because I had him in for a medal for sure. It was not to be. I think it was sometimes you have to understand the races are not necessarily great, but it was competitive in the end in terms of the finish. Bramel on the outside, Bracy was a heck of a race, and Curly there, what 986, 988, 988. So it was very competitive.
Was very competitive indeed. Um, how do we how do we Schaefer now? We are in day number three, getting ready for the evening session, and definitely we have to talk about what happened at day number two in the evening session with the women coming out, the 100 meters women. I mean, for most of us or everybody, all the women who advance to the semifinals that will happen in couple hours leading on to the finals went into that and did what needed to be done. Any what do I say? Any good word to these women heading into the semifinals?
The
What
only person I'm worried about is Kemba, but and I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt because she's running at home. Many people say home field advantage don't play a part, but I believe it does. She's running at home. She trains on this track every day. This is where she lives, basically. But she's the only person I am worried about because I think I think if she gets to that finals, having her compatriots there, we saw it with Aileen Bailey in 2009. Having your compatriots there can help push you, and I think that would be a great thing. We see it all the time. We saw it with who was it? John L. Smith in 2019. Just having your compatriots there. So I do hope that she makes it, but she's
so
my only iffy. I like what I saw from Dina Asher, but
hold
here's
on
my
before you
problem.
move on to Dina Asher. Well, go to Dina Asher. So go ahead with Dina Asher. Yeah, and
Here's
then
my problem with Dina. Dina does this all the time. Dina and Talu are prone to run very fast early.
Yeah, but you can't say it's underperforming when she loses though to Shelley.
I'm not saying she's underperforming. I'm saying I
Okay.
don't look much into it.
Okay.
She does this. What I'm saying is for her to get to these girls, she has to be 10-7-0 or better. That's how I'm calling it right now.
I
Because
said I said
I
I
believe
said that I
Elaine
was
and I
okay.
believe all three Jamaicans are in 10-6 shape. For her to get the better of them, she has to be better than 10-7-0. 10-84 is great, but 10-84 and 10-7-0 is two different timing.
Yeah.
And and that for me is going to be an issue.
The thing, Jermaine, for me, I was hoping for Kemba because before the start of the championships, I know how Shelley and Fraser Price runs the heat. I've said it to many persons that I believe that Kemba Nelson somehow, when they get to Eugene, she need to end up in Shelley and Fraser Price's heat. Persons ask
Bam.
me why.
Yes.
I know Shelly's heat is always the weakest of the three semis because she tend to run a fast enough time to avoid the other big girls. And if Kemba
Mhm.
was in that semi, it would have been easier to have
Easier for her.
three or four person. In this heat now, with a Julian Alfred who can potentially beat you, with a
Dina Asher Smith.
Tanisha Terry, with a Dina Asher Smith with your compatriot. So if Sharika wins and Dina is second, let's say Tanisha is third, it means now that one of those five big girls will not make the finals. Doesn't matter. And then you have to also understand that from semi-final two, which is also a tough semi-final, they will also have the advantage to say, you know what? We can look at the times that have been posted from semi-final one, third, and fourth, and we are in trouble. Because mind you, with Kambunji, Elaine, Jefferson, and Kambunji, Elaine, Jefferson, and Talu, it's gonna also mean that two of them won't get in automatically. So those two semifinals will be a heck of a showdown in terms of person advancing to the finals on time. And that's the reason why I've said that semi-final three is only the top two for me and probably will go through. It's gonna be a battle for the second between Nita and Hobbs, but I believe Kemba Nelson, everybody's talking about this 1, 2, 3, 4 athletes going in. I don't think Kemba is gonna have an easy. I don't think she's gonna make the finals. I'm sorry, I just
I'm,
don't
I'm,
see her.
I'm going to drop something to you, Odeon. I believe the two fastest losers come from semifinal one. And
I don't
I
And
don't
I think
necessarily
necessarily
Kemba still
agree.
misses out. And I think Kemba's misses out.
Okay,
And there's why,
okay.
and I still think Kemba misses out because that semifinal one has 5, 6 quality athletes
That's what I'm saying.
who are all capable of running sub 11, and they are going to push. I believe Sharika takes it, but that battle behind her, and it's going to push the others to run faster. And that for me is still going to have Kemba out unless
That
Kemba produces the
semifinal is
race of her
worthy.
life.
That
Kemba
semifinal
will
to
have a
me is
PB.
worthy of any final. I'm sorry.
I agree with Odian.
Hmm.
Even though I would like to see a Kemba in to the finals, I don't think semifinal one will be the fastest of all three semifinals. Also, note, Jermaine, that I don't necessarily think that Jacko is going to run right
To make
out
the race fast, and
to
she need
make
to
the
do that
race
for Kemba if
fast.
she want Kemba to advance. So
Exactly. And but also on the other hand, she will also have to run, but not right out and fully
No, but I
because
hold on. I never
hold
said
on, Jermaine, hold
it was
on,
going to be the
Jermaine.
fastest. I'm saying the cluster.
Okay, I am speaking. Thank you. I'm saying that Sherika won't run all out. However, Sherika will have to run because Dina Asher Smith going to want to get into that final. And Dina is going to do all that she needs to do and can do in order to get to that. And therefore, she's going to push some pressure
and
on
she's
Sherika.
not and she's not going to want to finish third because everybody's going to run to say, okay, I want lane 3, 4, 5, or 6.
No, I don't believe that she's going to have the fastest time. I think Shelly's still going to have the fastest time going into the finals.
No, I'm
It
not
is
saying
the
the
cluster.
fastest time. I'm saying
No,
I
I'm
don't
saying,
think
hold on.
heat
What I'm
one.
saying is that the cluster behind Sharika is going to be fast comparatively
Okay.
to everybody else. So I
Okay.
do believe Elaine is going to have a runaway, and it might be a fast time. I believe Shelly's going to have a runaway, or the top two might have. But in Sharika's heat, that group is going to be very close together, and that's why I believe the two fastest losers are going to come from it. So, say for example, Sharika runs 10-7. Everybody behind her could be probably 10-9-1, 10-9-2, 10-9-3, 10-9-4,
No, but
because
remember
that
now, heat
cluster
number
is going
three.
to be
But
very
remember,
thick.
heat number three will always see what happened with heat number one and happened in heat number two,
That's
and
right.
therefore
And
they
that's
know
why.
what the bubble is. They will know
Hmm.
what the bubble is going in. So but two somebody can run. So therefore, in a for them man, they must say,
That's the
okay,
tricky part, Jermaine, for
that's
them.
the tricky
To be
part to it.
honest,
If
that
it is
semi-final should have probably been the last semi-final for me.
that
No,
semi-final should have been the last. For me,
here's
when I
my
saw it, I'm
deal.
like, that semi-final should have been the last.
Here's
And that's the thing why Talo could very well, even though we did not have her, well, for me, I didn't have her initially. That's one of the things that she would probably use to her advantage running after the hot semi-final.
here's my deal. Talu is in the same semi-final of Aliyah Hobbs, right?
No, with Elaine and
Now
Kambunch
with
and
Elaine
Melissa
and
Or
Jefferson.
Kambunji. All right.
Hmm.
The heat with Aliyah Hobbs. I believe whoever comes, that's the only person that can, I believe, that will be able to come as a fastest loser. And the reason why I say it is this, and this is just my opinion, this is my feelings. I believe Sharika's heat has the best capable individuals behind Sharika to go the
Hmm.
fastest.
I agree. I agree with that.
So
But also,
so
I'm just
that is
saying,
why I believe, that is my
but there's
belief why I say that.
but there's at least one. But there's at least one person that can snatch a fastest qualifying spot from Elaine's heat as well. Because Talo is quality, Jefferson probably can turn up, and Kambunji. So the thing I hope for though is that semifinal three only has two automatic. Those two person won't come from that. Sorry, Shelly or anybody else.
I think we all agree with that part. I think,
All right.
yeah, Shelly and
The
somebody else will come from that. I think so.
producers pick. Producers pick. And I watch Kemba all year. She will run the race of her life.
She'll have to run the rest of her
She's
life.
going to have to.
She's gonna run the race of her life, guys. She's making that finals.
Who is
That's
making
my
the final?
Kemba.
All right,
Okay.
Z, we will see. Z, we will see.
In what position?
Why
The
fastest loser, man?
the fastest loser.
No, as in third. She's gonna be third behind Sharika and Dina.
Yeah, she will be there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Something to look for. I'm here for it. Something to look for. Okay, so we just tackle heat number one. Heat number two. Heat number two is the easiest for me.
Um,
Yeah. No,
I
it's not the
don't think
easiest
so.
for
No,
me.
I think
No, I mean easiest to
it's not the
pick from.
easiest. I think
It's another big. The only straightforward
I think
is
it
Idris.
is it comes to right. I think Elaine wins, but I think it's going to be a toss up between. And I'm going to say this: I don't have Jefferson getting to the finals. I think it's going to be a toss up between Kambunji and Talu, strictly
And
for
tell
one
me.
thing, experience. I think I think Jefferson did what she did the best and got to the American team. All right, and if you notice, one of the things that you've been noticing, the collegiates, the collegiates are kind of breaking down now,
The
and you're
Gucci.
seeing it before our eyes. The collegiates are breaking down, and why do I bring that up? The U.S. trials, I think, was a week or 2 weeks after the NCAA season, right? Ended. Their bodies was still in motion. The law says a body in motion stays in motion. Their body was still in that. I think the break, and now that they've rested, I think their body having to peak for a fourth time. For me, you're seeing the collegiates kind of go, all right, we can't do this anymore. That's really
Most
what's happening.
evident,
Most
Cherokee Young was the most evident today in the
You saw
400.
it from
It was,
Cherokee Young, you saw it from Powell, you saw it from
yeah.
others from other countries. You saw where the collegiates are kind of like them body just can't do no more. This would have been for
And
many of them the fourth time they would have had to peak because they had
yeah.
indoors, they had conferences, they had NCAA nationals, are now coming to worlds. I mean, you're expecting them to hold a peak for
Um,
7 months.
Jeremy,
That's
I'm
crazy.
happy. I'm happy you weren't the person who said Kemba was making the finals, because if you had said that she would have made the finals, I would have asked then why can't Jefferson. I'm glad you didn't be the one to say that. So I'd like to
Exactly.
ask, because sometimes the emotion gets the better of us because of our loyalty to
Mm.
Jamaica. So
Jermaine went right into it. It's the topic that is brewing on a lot of us mind about the NCAA's them athletes not matching up.
I am just I am just praying that Daryl Nita actually gets a second automatic and then let Halia Hobbs wait for time. I'm just praying for that.
I love
Um,
Alia Hobbs. I'm sorry. I love her. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of hers.
or
I think
or
she's the
or
most
vice
underrated
versa,
US
or
sprinter.
vice versa, or vice versa. Odian, that
Huh?
or vice versa. Obs get it and Darlita wait for time.
Yeah, one of them will definitely have to wait. They know Shelly wins. It's a matter of there's no other athlete in the race that think that they can beat Hobbs or Nita. It is the most straightforward of all the three semifinals.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I said if
Exactly.
anybody outside of Heat number one is going to get a fastest loser, you're going to be one of those. You're going to be one of those. You're going to be Alia
All the,
Hobbs. That's my take. Or
mm-hmm.
Nita. Yeah. Because there's
Okay.
just really three quality in that. And like you said, Latoya, the NCAAs is something that we have to pay attention to. I just mentioned the amount of times that athletes have had, and now that their body has gone into a 4 week rest, you are seeing that they are not able to pick it up again. We have seen so many of them so far not able to, I mean, the only ones that you see that have matriculated done well is the ones that are just that great that they were going to qualify either way. Because they have some athletes that they're just that good that they were going to qualify. But we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing it taking a toll on them. And as for me, we saw it with Cherokee Young. I think it will happen to Kemba. I think it's going to happen to probably even Julian Alfred. We're seeing it happen to these athletes where we're going, you know what? Them body just can't take no more. And now you're seeing when you say big man and boy a boy, you're seeing the big guns come out and show you say this is not college. Because now they're only needing to peak one for many of them. And this is it. So we're seeing the difference in that having a I'm seeing it and I'm it is coming from a maybe what some of the NCAA athletes need to do, especially these veteran ones or these senior ones, they need to determine what is important to them.
Agree.
Is it I'm going for the NCAA title, or is it that I'm going for a world or Olympic title? Because having to peak for indoors, having to peak for conferences,
And
then having to peak for the national trials, then having to peak again for the major championship, I think it's just too much for them.
because I think that's one of the things that Melissa Jefferson was trying to do while she actually finished last at the NCAA. She was trying to gear up for the world champs as opposed to delivering at the NCAAs, and then in the reason why she won the US trial. But in 22 days time, she
Hold
doesn't
on one
necessarily look
second, audience. Someone mentioned athlete, but athlete Mew did it. I did say the exceptional ones, the ones that are
right.
far
No,
superior to everybody else.
like
Athlete
Abyss
Mew is a
Steiner and Abyss
superior
World.
athlete, so I don't think the
Yeah.
burden, right? They're not going to be affected that much. But we're talking regular athletes. Jefferson is a regular athlete. Cherokee is regular. Javon, these guys are regular athletes. They are not
Mhm.
superstars out of this world, fastest times in the world, best
So in
ever.
other
They're
words,
regular.
because they
It's
were
gonna affect
so
them.
much better than their peers, because they were so much better than their peers, or they are so much better than the rest of the field, even if they regress somewhat, they still have that wiggle room to still get in
Right,
because they're that much better.
exactly. Because they're
Mhm.
just that much better. Right? So
Yeah.
you will find it. You have years, you had the Grant Holloways of this world where, they're just that much better than everybody else. So they
Mhm.
may regress because I think if you look at when Grant in 2019, Grant Holloway was fresh out of college, but I don't think his time that he won the world championships with was as fast as his NCAA time. So you're looking at it and saying there's some level of regression, but he's just that much better than everybody else that it
Yeah.
doesn't really affect him. But when you're
Hmm.
an average athlete or you're in that range of being average, when you come up against the big guns who only train to peak for the World Championships or the Olympics, you're
It's
going to get
like
your baptism
having
of fire. You're going to
it's
feel it
like having it's like having Usain Bolt at 9:58 and then he's not in the best of form and turns up and run 9:72 and still wins.
and still
He
win.
regrets
Yeah,
just
exactly.
right.
He
Hmm.
regrets, but his 972 is better than everybody else.
Exactly.
I,
So
and
how
I'm
do
going
you
to talk about the
analyze
whole
the
part.
or would we now analyze the individual? You started with Dina now though, but like for example, um there's something telling me that Kambunji is getting the second spot with Elaine. 'Cause I think Talu worked for her win last night to win the race. I
I
thought
think
she was
Kambunji,
spent
I think Kambunji worked, but not as hard as
as
Dina,
Talu.
as Talu.
Yeah,
Sorry, she didn't
yeah.
work as hard, and it goes to show you where they are in life. I mean, Kambunji is a bit younger, she's a little fresher, and she's improving. Talu, I think, has reached her peak, and the age is showing on her now. And I think she's
Cause it
coming from an injury as well, and so she's not the same Talu she was last year or even the year before. So
yeah.
she having to work. Kambunji is a little bit fresher. She's a little bit. The best of Kambunji was last year, so she's kind of
Well,
trying to just progress on what we saw.
well, I would slightly disagree somewhat because this year I would say would be the best of Kambunji. She ran a PB 60 meters indoor. She won the indoor
No,
title.
I'm not
She is
talking this year. No, I didn't bring up this year. I'm not bringing up this year. I said previous years. Last year would have been the best of Kambunji based on her
it,
career. Last year
well
was her
in a
best year. So all
sense
she did was improve on what she did last
best
year.
best in terms of times, not best in terms of overall performance because she just
Right,
grabbed the world bronze in 2019. So yes, because she
right,
quickly took back the Swiss national record from Del Pont and she's now at 10:89 at her best now. So I'm
exactly.
expecting
She's
that she
improved.
will be
She
able
has
to.
improved a lot.
Hmm. And it just took
Another
Talu
athlete.
10:92 just because Ahori had a 10:95 early season, and that was
Hmm.
the top time for the Ivory Coast. So, but Talu too, look the way she looked last night with 10:92. It tells me that if she's gonna burn the rubbers like that tonight, it's gonna be a Elaine and a Kambunji for the 1-2, and then Jefferson and Talu third, fourth, and then will that be enough? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's so many unknowns in what is going on. I think we all agree that the Jamaicans are far ahead of everyone else. The three Jamaicans, that
Hmm.
is, they are that far ahead of everyone else that really, this is why almost everybody says it's going to be a sweep because
Hmm.
everybody else, no, there's nobody else in their zone. Remember, the world leading time this year is Shelly, and then you have Sharika, then you have Elaine. and then nobody else sub 10.80. And now you're looking at it and you're seeing these girls run, and everybody had put in effort except these Jamaicans. Like Sherika got
And
up.
here's the funny thing. And here's the funny thing. From the Shelly, Sharika, Elaine, the next two person is the next two fastest is in problem of advancing because it will be now Julian Alfred that takes the next slot on the world
Right?
list. And she's at
Exactly.
1081 and she's in trouble. And then you have Hobbs and Jefferson at 1081, 1082. So and it's not easy for them. So I mean it tells you that the experience of Dina though. Because some person said she was not going to make the final. I caught her in lane one just to say, okay, I still believe that she has the experience to get in. No, she's looking like somebody that will not get lane one.
She's looking. I believe that Dina probably gets.
Gets an
All right,
outside
hold.
lane.
She probably gets lane 7, or in this case lane 8, because they're running 2 to 9. She probably gets
Well,
lane
the,
8.
well, they're running actually lane 1 to 8 because I'm not sure why the US is doing that though. Because not normally a spear lane one because of the distance running because it's the most
Right.
used lane on the track. I don't know why the US not using lane
Exactly.
9.
But
But I think though Elaine wins, Sharika wins, Shelly wins. It guarantees those three persons in the mid. There's one middle lane now for the fastest of all the second place athletes. Fastest second place time will get the next middle lane, and it might very well be Dina because she'll have to try and keep pace with Jackson.
someone says on the day any athlete who wants it is a factor. After the semis, we will determine whether or not it's a sweep. Um,
Yeah, but what we are not going
there
to
comes a time
determine
when you
after the
have to
semi
call
and
a
say, oh,
spade a
we
spade.
expect that.
Right. There comes a time when you have to call a
What I
spade a
don't believe
spade.
in, Jeremy, what I don't believe in, no, wait until the fact, then I say I knew the fact would have happened.
Exactly.
No, no, no.
No.
I'm going to be an analyst. No, and I'm going to be brave and I'm going to predict what I think will happen. If me lose, me lose. If you
I
not come
have a
through, just
sweep.
not come through.
Exactly. I have a sweep coming. Because as I said, right now you have everybody else in the world is trying to get to the finals. These three Jamaicans are actually talking about world records.
Yeah.
Those are the levels that there are levels to this, and I think it is
Are
the
also
first time.
determine which order the medals will go. That's also another
Right.
part of it. That's
So they are now saying to themselves, "Listen, this is us right here. Everybody else, they're top tier. You understand? It's like you're having a
mm-hmm.
conversation about, and let me use a sport like basketball. You have Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James in one tier, and then everybody else is fighting to who is better than those three. It is kind of like those things. The girls, those three girls are like, listen, we are hope because here's what is happening now. Everybody calls Shelly and Elaine 1 and 2 in the world, especially in this era. They are 2 and 3
Mm-hmm.
all time. Sharika in her mind is saying, I'm better than at least one of you right
Mm-hmm.
now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and Sharika is proving that she's there. There's nobody else even smiling at them. I know we had Julian Alfred run 1081. I don't look at one-off times
But
like that
early.
in that sense. Right.
No, but
Um,
even though it was not a one-off time, it was on the circuit. That it means that she's also spent as well from the collegiate
exactly.
circuit, and that's one
Exactly.
of the
So,
reasons. And last night was very telling as well. After the heats, it seems that Dina knows the pressure is coming because she's like, I mean, come back tomorrow against year girls. Hopefully, like she realized that it's not going to be easy.
yeah, exactly. So I think for me personally, I think that's exactly where it's going. But there's another event that I need us to look on before we leave, because we said we were going to have a long live today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an event that I don't think we're talking about as much, and it's that men's 110-meter hurdles. The
Oh yes.
semifinals are this evening, and
Mm-hmm.
also the finals. The finals are right before the women's 100-meter finals. I'm going to call it, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to say it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's hard to see
So
Hansa
be it.
Parchment losing.
I think, and I initially had Answer Parchment getting silver behind Devon Allen. But what I saw from Answer Parchment yesterday in terms of his execution, his race wasn't the best race. And for him to run 13.17 versus the 13.14 of Holloway, he looked superb, who look
His
very
13-1-7
good.
looked like a training run. Holloway looked like he ran
Correct.
for the most part,
For that,
and that for me is
exactly.
where I went, huh? Because what you notice, what I saw from Hansel was he had a better start than he usually gets in the first round, which
Mm-hmm.
means he's working on his start. But for those who were
Yeah.
ahead of him, you saw him just compose and he just chipped at everybody,
One of
and
the
it just was
advantage Ansel has
smooth.
over the rest of the field is that Ansel has this self confidence now that he will catch you. He is patient with his phases as well. Very
And then that's the
patient.
thing. I believe if he is up close, if he's in touching distance to everyone, he wins. I don't see
Mm-hmm.
anybody beat him
Mm-hmm.
because number one, I think he's the only hurdler that no matter how fast he goes, he doesn't have to worry about the hurdles coming to him.
Yeah.
If you notice, for such a tall man, Hansen never hits the hurdles. Rarely he hits the hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
You never see him worrying about the hurdles coming to him. Rather, he's going towards the hurdles, and I think that works
Correct.
for him. While everybody else is getting their underground speed is so it's increasing, and you see it with Grant Holloway and Allen. Trey Cunningham looks like the best American. I'm gonna say that he looks the
Mm-hmm.
best of the Americans. And but when I look at Hansel, there's just this poetry about how he's moving, which I've not seen him ever do. I mean, last year he looked great, but this year he looks like poetry in motion. And if he can get a
Mm-hmm.
start where he's just right there, he doesn't need to have the best start. Just be there. It's over for anybody.
Jermaine, a couple of my predictions that I made on here would be under threat. But here's the thing with me. I would love for Ansel to prove me wrong, and it wouldn't be to say prove me wrong because I think he is in it to win it. But the thing is, no, I'm not the type of person that makes a prediction and then towards the beginning of the race changes based on how people looks. It means that I wouldn't be sticking to my word, and it's the reason why I had to stick to what I did on Sunday with the panel here. Because person are gonna hold me accountable for it.
My list has not changed, you know. Granted, like I
Right.
said to you guys, my initial listing had me having Fred Curley winning, Bramwell coming second. Bramwell got
Me
third.
too.
Fred Curley
Right.
won.
Yeah.
I am not changing my list for the women. I have Elaine getting bronze. I have
Mm-hmm.
Sherika getting silver. I have Shelly getting gold. If it happens
Mm-hmm.
that it is switched around, so be it. But that's where it
That's right.
stands for me. For the
Mm-hmm.
men, I had Hansel winning because I thought Hansel was in the shape of his life, but I knew it would have been close. But watching and seeing everybody goes, and you have to remember, you know, unlike the flat events, the hurdles is about momentum. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. There's no part where you can go fast and slow within hurdles. You have to get the pattern right. Hansel
Mm-hmm.
looked the smoothest out of everyone. He didn't look rushed. He didn't look like the hurdles was coming at him. He looked like he was confident. He looked like he knew where he was. He was doing exactly what he needed to do. And for me, that is something coming into a guy who's coming off an Olympic title when no one
Mm-hmm.
expected him to win, when he barely even made the Jamaica team. That for me is a guy that's brimming with confidence. And that is where I say they need to watch out. And like I said, Trey Cunningham looks like the best American.
He looks like the best American, but I think he'll have to come and prove it and deliver against Holloway. Um, I literally, I literally didn't have Trey Cunningham in my prediction. I had Devon Allen for gold, Parchment for silver, and Grant Holloway for bronze, and I will have to stick with that. I believe I will be wrong, but I'll just have to stick with that.
Yeah, Trey, yes, Gary. Trey looks confident. And I
I
think
agree.
the emotions is getting the best of Devon Allen right now, and I think Grant is still in his own head. I think when I watched the race, I remember when I watched the heats yesterday. Yesterday, I said Grant Holloway still has not learned how to have speed endurance or strength because over with his last three hurdles to go, you saw where the
Mm-hmm.
field was closing, and this wasn't even like it was the greatest field assembled. This was a heat, and the field was closing. He still has not worked on that part of his race. I think over in a 60-meter hurdles race, he's unbeatable. But as you get along, as you have four more hurdles to go, I think his body. I don't think he has learned how to manage the last part of his race, and that is for me is why he is where he is. I have Grant Holloway getting bronze now, even though I'm sticking with my predictions,
Me
but I have
too.
him getting bronze with Trey Cunningham getting the silver.
Mm-hmm. And that was your initial prediction as well, right?
No, my initial prediction had Devon Allen getting the silver.
Jermaine, I'm going to hold you accountable later.
My initial prediction had Devon Allen getting the silver with Grant getting bronze. Um, but I think it's going to be reversed. Based on, I'm not saying say it's going to be reversed. I think Grant is still going to get the bronze because he's championship proven. But Trey, I think Trey probably
Mhm,
gets that silver medal because he just looks too confident. And then with so many of the big names not either not being there or faltering, we saw Roberts out, Martin Odegaard not looking the
mhm.
same, Martinez not looking the same. All of these guys, Savoda is no longer there. Um, so and there's no my
Moscow.
boy from right. So I mean, with that being said, I think it really is between Hansel and the three Americans.
Hmm. Yeah. I would also love to see the execution this time around for Rashid Brabel. He will have to improve
Rashid,
to
I
get
still
in.
have a problem with his right hand. It's just flapping in the wings. I have
Mm-hmm.
an issue with that. If he can get it a little bit more sturdy, I think it allows him to balance better because if you realize what he's having is a balance issue.
Yeah.
He comes down and he's running and he has the speed, but he's not balancing. I think he makes the finals. And when you get to the finals in a hurdles, anything can happen. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I still have it between Hansel and the three Americans.
Yeah. Agree.
Even though I don't believe that Devon Allen is going to medal, I think they're going to fight out the other two medals beside them. I think Hansel is not bothered by anybody, and because his race is so unique that you can't watch how he starts. You can't necessarily watch the first part of his race to determine if he's going to win or
Xavier, if
lose.
you're on, what's your take? What's your take on the 110 hurdles, Xavier?
Living
He's
there,
asleep.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe, like I said, I do have hope that we will. I hope that we will walk away with 4 medals tonight. But there is something I will
Agree.
say, and I will say this with confidence. I know someone will attack me, and I'm going to say this 5 or 6 days early. I think that Jamaican men team can challenge for gold in the 4x1.
Hmm. In
When
terms
they
of
can come at me, when they can come at me, once they execute a race, I think they can challenge for gold in that 4x1.
Mhm. Yeah, because the US just not look like them have a speed, but there's something about them.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's something
So
about
I
them,
believe I
and
believe
can.
I believe they can mount a challenge.
But let me ask
Another thing,
now though. Let me ask now though. This is very important to ask. Initially, we all sat here and we talk about the possibly American 4x1 team in the finals, and we thought
right?
about people like Bramel, Curly, Coleman, and bringing the 200-meter star. Noah Lyles or Aaron Knight now, whichever. Wouldn't it now be a case where Brace earn the spot now on the 4x1
I
with that
believe
silver?
Coleman drops. I believe Coleman gets up. Coleman doesn't run the 4x1.
And if that's the case now, we would now move back another starter because the issue we had before was two starters, one had to start and one had to anchor. Coleman start, Bramel anchor. Now would Bramel go back to his first leg now with Coleman
I,
not
I
there?
I think what they do is that um they run Bromwell to start, or they run Bromwell to start, to Curly, to Bracy, and
Mm-hmm.
anchor with Lyles.
Agree.
Depend right. I think that's what they go.
Exactly.
Here's
Exactly.
my problem
I
though.
said the same thing too.
Gary said it, and I agree. I think we've become accustomed to the US men making mistakes. And
That's what I'm
while
saying.
I
They
don't,
have the
while 2 of our men did not make the finals, they made the semifinals and did relatively well. I think there's less
mm-hmm.
pressure on in a relay versus an individual event, and I think other than the US, no other country has 4 men of the quality of the Jamaicans. And
I
with the
agree. And
US
also
prone to making mistakes,
we can't use the fact that we only had one finalist because we also see teams over the past like Japan having no finalists at all.
and right, Italy had one
So
finalist last year and they won. So
exactly.
I think with the
Exactly.
quality of the athletes that we have, we can
Mm-hmm.
mount a challenge, especially knowing that it's not like these 4 Americans are far superior to anybody in the world. They're not.
All right. Yeah.
So I,
Agree.
I do believe we can post a challenge. And I know it's a controversial statement to make, but I stick by it.
And you're right. I think it is gonna be competitive. I don't think it is impossible because, as I said before, even last night in the 100, it was good for them sweeping, but it was disappointment for most persons in terms of the time, the whole hype surrounding the race
Exactly.
because of pressure. So it when the Americans are under pressure, things do happen.
And that is where I do believe that they will actually, the Jamaicans, I think if they clean up their batting exchanges, and I think the one thing I do hope is that Johan Blake doesn't turn up for the 200, but he's going to, and that's the sad part. Because if he
Mhm.
doesn't, I think they'll have enough time to practice.
All right. You saw how Javon Powell looked today in the 400. These are the things we spoke about. These are the people who should have gone in the mix relay and give it them best shot. So I think
Exactly. But guess what? Two of the persons used by Domrep on the mixed relay ran today. Actually, all four of them ran
exactly.
today.
Mm-hmm.
So they used their 400-meter runners and they got a goal. Nobody was asking us to use our 400-meter runners. We were saying, my God, at least the reserves,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
exactly. The result from the
At least use
400.
the reserves, and we would have gotten a medal because we saw countries use it. Damrep used their 400-meter runners, and they got the result that they wanted. They got a gold medal, and it goes back to the management of the team. It goes back to the management of the team. Who said Jamaica may not make the final in the 4x1? Really? Do people know that we've had men that make 4x1 teams that aren't even the only time we have not made a 4x1 final was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
The only time Jamaica has not made a 4x1 final since the year 2003 was 2019. So calm
Correct.
down. Even we made a final in 2005 with Michael Frater, Nesta Carter, Chris Williams, and Dwight Thomas. All right, so calm down. And it's so calm down. 2000. So know your history, please.
And you
But
also have to understand as well that the US will be under immense pressure. Let me tell you the pressure that they will be under. Not to win. They're gonna have it in the back of their head that they can break the world record. They're gonna be so fast that they're probably gonna have the baton all over the place.
if the American team thinks that they can break 36-8, they are smoking some serious weed down in Eugene. I keep telling people, same like how we look at 958. I keep telling people don't understand that 36-8 was not just something that was done overnight. That 36-8 was run by the fastest man ever.
And the two
The two
person with the best
fastest,
chemistry
the two
ever.
fastest, right? You had the two fastest men in the history of the sport, and
Mhm.
two men with the best chemistry in relay.
Yeah,
Like this was not something that got, and they weren't slow runners either because they had PB of 978 and 988.
correct.
These weren't guys that just got up and ran fast. This was a team that was gelled. They broke the world record
Hmm.
the year before. They knew each other. They trained together. Every record that Jamaica broke in the 4x1 had one thing in common apart from Usain Bolt. Nesta Carter to
Michael
Michael
Brighton, Mr.
Frater.
Carter. Yeah, as
That
great
was
as
a
a
common
Sabato,
theme.
he's not a part of the world record. Look at that.
Exactly. So you look at something like that and you go, that was the chemistry with that team. 36-8 came through work.
Hmm.
That was work, that was chemistry. Johan Blake was used to passing to Usain Bolt. Johan Blake could have
Hmm.
probably closed him eye and pass the button to Usain Bolt.
Yeah, just as how
Michael
Carter would close and pass the freighter as well. Know exactly
Michael
where to.
Michael Michael Frater's Nesta Carter's pass to Michael Frater was poetry in motion. Michael Frater
True.
just put his hand up and the button was in his hand and he had a
Mhm.
perfect extension. Um,
Yeah,
B- Michael Frater's pass to Johan Blake was beautiful. It was
hmm
perfect passing. It was chemistry. It was speed.
and that's one of the
Thinking
reason
that
for years US always probably wonder how is it that we have faster first two legs, but the Jamaicans are always right there with us just the same. It's because of the efficiency.
exactly, and
As good as good to get the name.
you add that to the speed. Let us call what it is. We had very good speed,
Yeah,
so it wasn't just
because what the US were basically doing, they were middling their top guys, and we were ending with our two fastest on the last
right.
two legs. Yeah.
They were hoping that they would get their ankle leg a lead. But I
Mm-hmm.
think they underestimated how fast Nestor Carter and Michael Frater really are.
Yeah.
Remember,
True.
Michael Frater is a world championship silver medalist. Nestor Carter is a world
Correct.
championship bronze medalist. Nestor Carter is one
Mm-hmm.
of the 10 fastest men in the history of the sport. At the time
Correct.
of the world record, he was number one, two, no, was number five all
Yeah.
time.
Next to me, Nestor Carter was one of the most unfortunate Jamaican athlete to be
Yeah,
in an era where every single time it's like he was good enough to represent us, but guess what? Asafa, Hussein, and Johan for the
exactly.
most part. So it wasn't like
For
he
the
was a
most
bad
part.
athlete. Any country else him going to make the team most times.
He he would have probably made every other country's team during that era.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it just happened that he ran for Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
even then, and Michael Frater would probably be the same as well. Michael Frater was
Mm-hmm.
a world championship silver medalist. He was in the Olympic finals in 2008. He's been there, been about. He's been one of the better runners in the world of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Let us not underestimate the speed that was on that team.
That's true. So it's not going to be
So,
easy by the US.
right. So breaking that world record is not something that comes down to having three guys running 9.8 because many other teams. Remember in 2004, the US should have broken that world record with the team that they had, right? With Sean Crawford and with Justin Gatlin and Maurice Green. They should have broken that world record, but they didn't. And they
Mm-hmm.
lost actually to Great Britain, Great Britain didn't even have a sub 10 man on their team.
Not one. Not one. But what they had was better 200 athletes in a sense.
Right. And chemistry, because those guys were running together for a while. And now you see that happening even with countries like China, Japan, where they're putting together quality 4x1 teams without sub 10 runners. Because it's the same team you're getting all the time.
You remember when I said the US could very well, for the first time, could. Maybe it would probably one person still in with a shot, but I think the US could end up having a 4x4 team with not one of their 400-meter flat athletes.
That I will say this, based on what I saw in the 400 meters for women, and shout out to the Jamaicans for me, all three Jamaicans qualifying, and two for the women, and two for the men, and both Jamaicans looked very good, especially Candice running out of lane one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem with it is that the rule has been changed back to two changes.
You're right, because what they do, because they create a separate relay pool for the mixed relay. That's why.
Right. So it's
Mm-hmm.
now gone back to two changes, and
Mm-hmm.
there are a couple athletes that we thought would have been in their pool that aren't. So Dalila Mohammed is not in the relay pool,
Mm-hmm. No, but you
right? That
hold
and
on. But is she have to be a part of the American relay pool from the get go?
she was last year.
Yeah, but I'm saying because I think once you're part of the US team, do you have to register the team on for the 4x4 to be a part of the pool?
You have to register your pool.
Okay,
So
because I
gone
know
are the
the
days
US.
when you could, unless there's a serious injury and a change has to be made. Gone are the days. That's why Sherika Jackson. That's one of the reasons Sherika Jackson will not be running the 4x4. You have to bring in your pool members.
Okay.
You can make a switch in case of athlete being ill or injured or whatever. You can make a switch at the last minute. But that I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that would have wanted to run the 4x4 either because she's not 100%. But you can only make two
Well,
changes,
well,
unlike last year.
we are saying she's not 100, Jermaine, but she's actually thinking PB.
True,
So.
true. But unlike last year where they could have switched out the entire team, they can't do this
Mhm.
year. You can only make two changes, and
So,
because of that, they're gonna have to run at least two of their flat four runners.
and that would definitely have to be Talita Diggs as one of those
No, I
persons
don't think
because
so. I think it's just the two persons that went the furthest. Because if you look at Diggs, when I said that the NCAAs is getting the best of them, she's one of them,
yeah. But I
and
saw
you
nothing
saw
from
it.
Kendall Ellis and Lena Herbie
Kendall,
struggled too.
exactly. They are
So,
struggling. You're gonna have to
mhm.
use two of those. You're gonna have to get
I
two of
think
those.
it's
Gonna have to run.
the weakest US 400 team I've ever seen in many years, to be honest.
Yeah,
On the
because there's a
female side.
possibility. Because all right, put it this way: we have Shawnee Miller, Weebo,
And Paulina.
Paulino making the finals. I
And
have two
Fatuma
Jamaicans.
Yarborough.
I have two Jamaicans making the finals, based on what I'm
And I have
seeing.
them third. And I have one third. and
Exactly.
possibly fourth. The only person I
So
think will give us a big battle though is the athlete from I think Poland as well. And
right.
the Bayesian is not doing bad, you know.
Exactly. What's her name? Stephen, whatever Williams show her name. She looks
Stada
good.
Williams or something like that.
Right. She looks good. So, and you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at the Americans and you're going, I think this is the first time you may not have an American in the finals. You may not. You
Exactly.
probably can get one, but you may not. You're not going to get more than one.
Okay. I agree.
So it looks like it is a very very struggling team. All right. The men look impressive though. I
Yeah,
won't lie, but the women don't look as good. But
exactly.
all right. So before we go, because we have to get ready to today Sunday and people have to do them business. We have to also get prepared for later. Before we go, the events to preview this evening that makes sense for all of us. By the way, I think the triple jump finals is this evening.
Should
Is it
be.
this evening? Right. So you'll have the triple jump finals, which will have three Jamaicans in the finals, which is the first that's ever happening. You will have the women's
Mm-hmm.
semi-finals and finals for the 100 meters, and you have the men's semis and finals for the 110-meter hurdles. Is there any other? I can't. I'm using my phone, so I can't go back and forth. Is there any other race that we should look forward to?
I don't have a schedule up either, Jeremy.
Okay, so I can't. I don't have the schedule. I can back and forth. But guys, I will say this. Tune in later. You can tune into our page. We'll be having the coverage there. And we may come back between the semifinals of the hurdles and the 100 meters, which begin at 7 o'clock, and come back and give you guys a what we think will happen. But until then, from the rest of us, we would like to say, the women's 1500 meter and the discus. Those are
Oh
also
yes,
two
and
events to look
let the
forward
world
to.
know that we have a finalist in the women's 1600 meters.
Yes, Tracy made the finals.
Yeah,
Tracy name? Yeah, Tracy made the finals.
and
Wow.
there's Tracy.
So right. So Jamaica has a finalist in the women's 1500 meters. So guys, it's a packed evening this Sunday evening. Go get an ice cream early. You understand? Go eat the second half on a Sunday dinner because it's a go mad
No,
this
I get the
evening.
first half of just on it.
Right? So go get the second half of the Sunday dinner. Go get the ice cream. Nobody now. And get prepared for this evening. So on behalf of everybody, I think we might be back, but we may not do a stream yard. We may go directly live from Facebook. This evening during and the men's 400-meter hurdles. The semifinals is this evening.
Wow, it's a packed
Well,
evening.
we two
It's a
Jamaicans in
great
the
afternoon.
semifinals. It's packed evening. We have Jail Hyde and we have Kemar Mowat in the semifinals. So that's another pack.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, it's a packed evening. So I'm gonna give you the time. Only if you go bed, go get the ice cream, finish cook the dinner, or go get the second serving. All of them something there. If you not have no wife or no have no for the ladies, you have no little husband and thing or no little partner, you go get a little quick nookie for relax on the brain and start out in yourself and get ready for what's gonna happen at 7 o'clock. Because come 7 o'clock, a murder. It's gonna be crazy, both on the track and in the field. So
Yeah.
until then, from Latoya, Xavier, Kino, who was here earlier, myself, and the statistician himself, Mr. Odion Grant, JP. I'm going to put the JP by the back of my name.
Sure.
We will see you guys later, and thank you for tuning in. And have an enjoyable rest of your evening. As I say, go full up on the bed and get ready for go and go take a little quick nap, set the alarm for an hour and a half. If you don't want to go take a little sleep, do all of them something there. And we will see you guys later. Remember, tune in to Track and Feelings, and we'll have the broadcast there if you're not able to watch it from wherever you are in the world. I would think international audience, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Very much.
And
All right.
also remember to like, subscribe, share. It's Track and Feelings on all social media, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And go like up everything. And we will see you all later.
For
All
the
right, big up on
fireworks.
yourself. For the
I'm out.
fireworks. All right.